It turns out not all crazy conspiracy theories are created equal. That's just science. Is Think Thing on? Welcome to Think Thing, a channel featuring video essays on media, art, culture, politics, science, food, or anything else I think is interesting. If that sounds like something you'd be into, consider subscribing and give the video a like. Thanks so much. Around the last anniversary of 9/11, I was watching some news show that referred to 9/11 truther conspiracies as an example of conspiratorial thinking coming from the left side of American politics. They then segued from that to QAnon, election deniers, and other conspiracies propagated by conservative media outlets and wingnuts on the right. Then they made the important point that 9/11 trutherism sort of reached its zenith among the fringier parts of lefty politics in the mid-2000s. And that critically, those conspiracy crackpots did not win elected office for the most part.
Investigate 9/11. 9/11 was perpetrated by people within our own government.
The Democratic Party largely protected itself from being taken over by its conspiratorial id. Unlike the unhinged conspiracies touted by right-wing outlets,
these are transgender black Marxists who are seeking the overthrow of the United States.
9/11 trutherism remained rightfully relegated to the fringe of lefty political culture, where it remains.
How can they gather so many assholes on a day like this in one spot? I really don't know.
While true believers of the right wing's batshit nonsense have actually been winning and holding elected office for years now, resulting in a modern Republican Party that only has a tenuous grip on reality. That's very bad news in a system that protects two-party rule. When only one of those two parties is remotely serious, then instead of debating the best ways to combat the effects of global climate change, for example, we're instead stuck arguing about whether climate change even exists in the first place.
With the global warming and that, a lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax.
Instead of debating the best ways to improve K-12 public education, we're talking about LGBT people grooming children and so on. Our national public discourse has been consumed by conspiratorial nonsense. What 9/11 trutherism, QAnon, and some of these other conspiracies have in common is a distrust of authority and official explanations, combined with a desire to ascribe willful nefarious intent to otherwise chaotic events, amped up by the conspiracist's own confirmation bias. So Sandy Hook wasn't a lone disturbed individual armed by a culture that worships firearms, the argument goes. It was a false flag concocted by shadowy government actors who want to take away your guns. 9/11 wasn't merely the result of nefarious intent by Islamic extremists. It was the result of nefarious intent by shadowy government actors who want to start a war in the Middle East, and so on. This got me thinking that there's another key difference between trutherism and your run-of-the-mill right-wing conspiracy garbage. While it's difficult to convince any conspiracy theory-believing person that what they believe is nonsense, because definitionally believing in the conspiracy theory requires that one rejects evidence that contradicts the theory in question, at least with 9/11 truthers, you usually have to actually escalate the conversation to engineers and experts in fairly technical fields in order to satisfy the most commonly cited reasons for the distrust of the official version of what happened. I mean, I don't actually think you need to get as technical as all that, because I think much more axiomatic differences in how people see and interpret the world are really at the center of why some people believe crazy stuff and some people don't. But the bulk of the specific points that are raised by 9/11 truthers, in my experience, require technical answers in fields that I myself am not an expert in. Yeah, not so much with the Sandy Hook Yahoos and the Pizzagators of the world. I just don't think appealing to a PhD or citing an engineering paper that notes the tensile strength of steel at certain temperatures is required to refute claims that, say, Hillary Clinton and Democratic Party members engaged in child sex trafficking in the basement of a pizza parlor. What I'm saying is that left-wing conspiracy nonsense is way cooler than right-wing conspiracy nonsense.
Our country! Proud fucking American! Made in USA, bitch! Made in fucking USA!
Yeah, those 9/11 truthers may be deeply misguided, unscientific rubes who are victims of their own confirmation bias. But they're our deeply misguided, unscientific rubes who are victims of their own confirmation bias. Thanks for watching. Feel free to add your thoughts in the comments, but please keep your remarks civil. If you're thinking of using the comment space to try and convince me or others that a given conspiracy theory is actually real, if we would just do our own research or whatever, I encourage you to put that stuff on your own channel. Just remember to try and use your think thing when you do it. And definitely subscribe, because I'm sure to say some other stuff you're really going to hate, and you won't want to miss it.